Hi y'all, I'm Exepola. I'm going to do a series on different terms that I use on a regular basis. Words that have technical definitions that aren't readily used in everyday conversation and maybe a little bit contrary to what someone is typically used to. And I recognize that I have maybe a little bit of an idiosyncratic view of these terms, even apart from maybe their technical definition. Just as an example, I think that the word liberalism in a political context has really dramatic different meanings. Depending on the context, and the popular definition is almost exact opposite from the way it's used in a lot of political theory. In political theory, liberalism, even if you look up, liberalism on Wikipedia, what you're going to find is that definition is closer to what is considered conservative in the US. Whereas if you just say, hey, I'm a liberal, to a random person, at a restaurant, coffee shop, or walking down the sidewalk or something, they're going to think pretty much the opposite thing. So I tend to use more technical definitions technical definitions, specialized definitions as a standard. But I kind of elaborate on these definitions, elaborate on these terms in the way that I like to talk, kind of end up taking on a little bit of a different tone, and even it's my own sort of definition of some of these terms. And so that's why I'm putting together this video glossary. I have a quote by Noam Chomsky. Looking at these kind of terms in this way is an important part of what is called meta politics. And meta politics is it's dealing with politics outside of its electoral context. So thinking of an issue philosophically rather than just merely practically. And the reason one would want to engage in metapolitics is because, where do these political issues come from? Who says, that global warming is something that a Republican can't believe in and work to fight climate change or something like that? This is sort of how things get filed down into the system of electoral politics. But you step back from that, you get to reevaluate these kind of issues, and that is what is called metapolitics. And this quote by Noam Chomsky really speaks to the importance of metapolitics. And Noam Chomsky is basically given a nudge, like, hey, I know what you're up to. You can't fool me. The smart way to keep people passive and obedient is to strictly limit the spectrum of acceptable opinion by allowing very lively debate within that spectrum. That's Noam Chomsky. So yeah, basically the spectrum of acceptable opinion is exactly that, politics. And so to get outside of that spectrum, you kind of have to engage in something a little different, something like metapolitics. thinking about what terms mean and how they can mean different things, and looking at sort of the essence of a certain attitude, disposition, and how that could be imagined differently, how the issues could be imagined differently along these different lines. So that's pretty much it. This is just basically me. This is just basically, a video about the idea of this glossary I'm going to make, and this visual glossary I'm going to make, and sort of an introduction, and sort of a little bit of the introduction of metapolitics and its value. Thank you. See ya.